things are going okay. So as we discussed before, the topic that we're talking about is making up a business plan. And so when you are making up a business plan, although there are thousands of books, the common thing is asking and answering most of the common questions. And nobody will really care about your business as much as you. An investor will care quite a lot, but not as much as you, because it's your life. And in the investor, it's just part of their life. And so you need to go through and answer questions. As we discussed before, it's easy to come up with 10 questions or 20 questions. 50 questions, serious, reasonable questions, it's kind of hard to think of. 100 questions or 150 questions, that's seriously hard to think of. Like, they're supposed to be significant, reasonable questions. Just thinking of the question is hard. And of course, thinking of the answer to those is also going to be hard. So the sooner that you start to write down the answers to anywhere between 50 to 150 reasonable questions with the answers, then your answers, you can't lie to yourself. They have to be real answers. And if you're still happy with them, you're proving to yourself the business is going to be good. And so you start the business. When you're doing anything, as you have identified, your presentation says, make the business plan also for the investor. But I would go beyond that and say, make the business plan for anybody else other than you. Who is the most important person? Your customer. So you need to make the business plan for the customer. And a lot of people forget to ask one basic question. Almost everything in the world has already been developed. There's competition with almost everything. It's very rare to really be the only person possible to do something. For example, having an air conditioner competes with a fan, and it competes with just a cold day and opening a window and having fan, like air going through. So having an air conditioner sales shop also competes with somebody selling a cold drink or an ice cream. It all does the same thing. It all cools down the customer. And so you must think, for the last 20 years, what has the customer been doing if they don't use me? How did the customer get that product or service before me? There's probably somebody, a competitor, giving almost the same thing that you have, right? So your customer is already using a competitor's item. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you need to think, the most basic question is, why is the customer going to stop using the competitor that has already answered all of their problems, and the competitor has already been helping them for the last 20 years? Why is somebody going to stop using what they already use and switch to you? That seems to be a very basic, but a very common sense type of thinking. So with that said, the next thing is just practice pitching. If you get into an elevator and it just happens to be an investor or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, you have 30 seconds to go from floor 1 to floor 5. How can you introduce yourself so that Jeff Bezos wants to invest in 30 seconds? And you have to make sure, a big problem that you're going to have is that SRC. A big problem is, you know everything about yourself, you know everything about your business, and Jeff Bezos has never met you before. He has no idea what you're talking about. So you have to use words that they are going to understand. For example, I'm showing you a picture of one product here, right? You see this product.
Yeah, it's a water.
A water bottle, right? And if this is something I'm trying to sell with my business, I could start talking about how I have the lowest mineral content and there's almost no nickel or cadmium or, the purity of this. And it also has calcium, which is good for you. I could talk on and on about these chemical details and how this is the best in the world. And I think that is the most important. And I could also say, this is almost free. This is so good for you. Maybe it's made with renewable energy, with tidal power or solar power condensation drips into here. So it's good for the world to make it, together with having calcium and low zinc and low other ions. But although I'm excited, and I have been studying this for 150 questions, which means I've probably been thinking about it for more than a year. So I'm a geek related to my business. I forget to say water. And the customer doesn't hear I'm giving him water. So make sure you don't make that problem. Although you're going to be an expert in the solar details or the chemical details, the most basic thing is the customer wants water. So make sure you talk about what the customer wants first and clarify. A lot of people going into business competitions, they jump right into the details that make them amazing, and they forget to say they are the best water around. So, you ready for me to time you? You ready for me to give you your 30 seconds to introduce your business product to me?
For a water bottle? Ouch.
No, for you, for your business. You said you wanted to make a business, right?
No, I actually don't want to make a business myself. I am more likely to be a politician, but I can give it a try. Why not?
Okay. Go ahead. Do you want me to start setting up a timer for you?
You can do that too.
Here we go. Ready? Whenever you say,
Yep.
you let me know.
Yep. Ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, start.
See this? This is a cat, and it's gonna live in your house rent free. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna relieve your stress, and it's gonna also bite you in the arm to let you know that how much you love yourself. And if you get it, it's gonna be stressful, of course, but it's gonna relieve your stress at the same time. And look how cute it is. So you should get it, and it's completely free. And I'm gonna give it away to you. And I have hundreds of it that I can give away.
Okay, that's 30 seconds. Good. So you've
Yeah.
talked for 30 seconds, but now pretend to be the customer. What is your product? It's a cat, right?
Yep.
But what is the major feature of your cat? Why are you promoting this cat?
It relieves the stress.
Okay, but what was one of the very first things you said? One of the very first things you said is, it's going to bite you. It's going to give you stress. So you are making your customers run away before you even.
No, I actually mentioned that he is very cute first, and it's gonna relieve stress. But then he started biting me like this, and then I mentioned he bites you.
I didn't hear the cute aspect. I heard one of the first things is it's a cat. It's going to give you stress, but then it's going to
No,
relieve.
I also said he's gonna live rent free in your house.
Right too. So that idea, a lot of people, they will be thinking about how they compare in the customer's mind. And of course, you must think about how you can manage customers. What is the good points and what is the bad points? So you have already identified some of the weaknesses, and you've probably identified maybe some other competitors. You haven't talked about that yet. But when you do your business, you realize that any marketing is good marketing. And so if you talk about a competitor, there's a very big difference between saying competitor A and saying dogs. Soon as you say dogs, the customer is going to be thinking, I want a dog, not a cat. But if you say competitor A, they don't think of an actual competitor. They know you have advantages, but they don't know you have problems. So don't kill yourself before you start. When you talk about a competitor or talk about a problem, say problem one or competitor one, competitor two, competitor three. For example, if you're trying to sell shoes, don't say Nike does something different or Adidas has the crazy three stripes or something like that. Don't say the name of competitors, because that is marketing them. That is promoting who you don't want to promote.
Oh yeah, and then they get interested in the crazy three stripes, and then they will check it out, and they might actually like it, and they will buy it.
Correct. Yes. So today we have it's just you and me. I thought maybe a couple of other people might show up, but yes, everybody else is following this. What can you see on my screen right now? I'm not using the big office computer right now. I'm just using the small one. What can you see on your screen? Is it just my face, or can you also see a PPT beside me?
I can see the PPT and myself and you as well,
Okay.
down in the screen, and 3 buttons of your phone. Home, back, and then
Okay.
I don't know, 2 lines.
Okay. So
I
we've already gone through the PPT. You are aware of this. This first
Yeah.
slide is talking about what is the definition of strategy, and there's the 4 things, the 4 questions that you need to think about. Then it goes through and it starts discussing these 4 questions. It describes the competitive analysis in the simple form. For example, talking about internal analysis and external analysis. And you understand that that is basically a SWOT analysis, right? Any
Yeah.
simple internal and external, that's the SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That considers inside the company and outside the company. So the basic PPT is, it's pretty basic. What I also wanted to show you is this presentation. Let's see if I can get this up on the screen. So you seemed like you're interested in the business plans. So this is a presentation that we're going to be giving soon, talking about business plans and goals, SWOT analysis, PESTEL. I just wanted to go through and show you one aspect of them. If you check in the detail, that first bit.ly/biz plans, that is the PPT I'm showing you. That's the one that we will discuss in detail for the topics in management class. But underneath it, there's another PPT saying bit.ly/business plan and goal. That one is the PPT that I give for the Korean government when they pay me to train thousands of people like you, international people related to Korea that are considering opening a business. They pay me to come and help teach you how to make a business plan. And so the whole PPT is there. That program used to be called Seoul Global Center. I actually started it because I was the first non-Korean to set up a foreign business, foreign registered, foreign owned, foreign invested company in Korea, back when it was impossible to legally set one up. I had to break the law in order to make a legal company. And so after I made the legal company, then when I went back to the government and I told them I had to break the law to follow the law. And so I started being an advisor to the government. The Ministry of Justice still keeps me, and the Seoul City government keeps me giving presentations to other people. So that is the presentation that I use that relates to anybody's interest in starting a business. Underneath it, there's a video. That is the video of me teaching this. So you can see in the screen, maybe, can you see this now, how it's half of the screen? This presentation, let's see if you can hear it.
Oh, I can't.
You can't hear it? That's probably a good thing. Anyway, it goes through and it talks about what is a a business plan. This is showing the main features of a business plan. What you can see on the screen here, it's talking about in your first year, you know about your business, but almost nobody else in the world is going to know about it because you haven't started it, right? And since you haven't created the business yet, or you're just starting, that means by definition, you can't have any customers. You're going to start with no customers and no history, and nobody is aware of you. So it will be impossible to get a lot of customers immediately. As soon as you have it in your mind, it's reasonable to assume it will take time to get the idea from your mind out into the public with promotions and marketing to convince other people of your business. And that time generally means in your first period of business, you're not going to have a lot of sales. So you're not going to have a lot of income. You're probably going to be spending money, like have expenses. So you're probably going to be losing money at the beginning. And then slowly it's going to climb. Slowly you'll have more customers and more customers. And eventually you'll have as many customers as required to pay all your bills. And then eventually even more, you might get some profit. And so a lot of people I've seen in Korea and around the world, especially in Asia, when they start a business, a lot of them are connected to rich people. And so they will just think on a Friday night, I have this idea, or I heard of this cool idea, and I can get money. Sorry, there's a couple of students texting me. Students are asking how to get in. Would you like to join with Jekavir?
Yeah, sure.
Um,
He was also trying to get more students into this class.
okay, so I'm going through. Let me check the details. No, he's not in here. I will
He
send.
should have the link.
He should. Just like regular business, he should, but many people.
And when I emailed students, I shared the email. No, sorry, I shared the link of the Zoom class for now.
Mhm.
So they all should have it. I even sent it to him as well, to Jawahar as well.
They should. I'm just.
If they check their emails, of course.
I put it just now as we're talking into the Facebook and in the Kakao. So they should be aware of details. So anyway, I can finish talking to him and I'll come back and finish my conversation with you. So this idea again, you can still see all of my screen, right?
Yes.
And now it's showing you the overall idea. What is a business plan? And I think I've already started to talk to you about these, right? Have I explained this
Yes.
stuff before?
Yes.
So can you try to guess or explain, since people hear a lot of statistics saying the opposite, people say 89% of businesses fail. Why? Why do you think people say that? And yet this is the real facts from several governments. How can you explain the truth is 89% of businesses are likely to succeed beyond 5 years, but most of the stories you hear say the opposite? Why do you think that is?
Probably they try when they first start their business. It's really gets like a long time to get succeed, and then a lot of things already been invented. So if it's like probably the same product but with different style, people will think that it will fail because people already got used to the old one that they've been using.
Okay,
But
so far you are talking, but what is an investor going to be listening to? When you have an investor, the investor, he wants to know the facts, right? He's got money and he doesn't want to be cheated. And so he thinks many people might be trying to cheat them or con them out of the money to invest in some crazy idea. So they're going to look for facts. So
yes,
far in your conversation now, you haven't said any facts. You just said opinions. And an investor is not going to invest based on only an opinion. Number two, an investor will want to know you love the idea and you're very convinced the idea is going to be successful. So you need to have excitement. When you were talking about your cat, you seem to have a little bit of excitement, but it went from high to very low. You were angry at the cat and then high. So that those types of things, again, that is the need and want of the customer. And so right now, the question is, the customer is thinking, is a business going to be successful or not? And there's two types of answers. Most people give the answer saying a business 90% will not be successful, but I'm showing you a fact from www.statcan.ca. It's the Canadian Government Ministry of Industry and Statistics that shows facts that 90% are successful. So my question is, regardless of your opinion, what do you think is in the mind of somebody listening? Why would somebody say it fails when these facts say it doesn't fail?
because people are negative all the time.
Okay, why would they be negative? Good, right, that's true. Why do you think some people are negative?
Um, they are jealous of people starting their business and own life, and
Right, exactly. A lot of people thought of basic common sense. They think, I'm going to a job. Sometimes I hate my manager. Sometimes I hate my director, but I have to go because it pays my salary. So that's one thing. They're angry that they can't be their own boss. They think if I'm my own boss, I have freedom and I will be happy, regardless of the stress. So they could be jealous. Next, they could be a little bit angry because they know I'm working and I'm making the CEO or I'm making the owner rich, but I only have a small little salary. So if I own a business, I'm going to get other people making me rich. So they could be angry at that. And so the
yeah.
next thing is maybe they want to be the owner. And oops, Jacovier is now here. So that they want to be the owner, but they are afraid to actually start their own business. And so because they don't have the courage or they haven't taken the first step to start their own business, they could be jealous of somebody else that is. And so they might be trying to justify in their own mind why they didn't start their own business. So they will say many things, but just like what you said, you should be listening for facts. I am showing, doesn't matter what I think, I'm showing, look, the Canadian Government Ministry of Industry, this website, you can go through it and the reference is there. This is what the Canadian government has recorded. After 5 years, the likelihood of survival is 89.2% for finance and insurance, 88.6% for real estate, 88.1% for general business services. The most successful, according to the Canadian government, is fishing and trapping companies. So that's not an opinion. That is in the website, that's in the Canadian government, and it's according to people that have submitted business plans and registered their tax details. If you read that file that's more than 100 pages, it says the more serious somebody starts a business, the higher the chances of success. And what that generally means, the more serious you are, the more you write things down. the more you invest yourself in it, at least with writing. Because people that don't get serious, they just do the easy way and they keep things in their head. So that's what we're talking about there. Write down a business plan, because what almost anybody does is not always the same as what they know they should do. Most people, the words common sense, right? Everybody is supposed to have common sense, but they don't do it. So common sense is not common practice. So if you write it down and start writing down the plan for the steps you're going to do, you obviously see that each day. And if you're not doing it, you will try to take those steps. So have that business plan written down. It saves time, money. It shows you're serious. So the investors or banks will more easily give you support. And it tells you the big picture of what you need to focus on. A lot of people, just like what we said, get focused on the very small little details like calcium content in water, and they forget to sell their main product, which is water. So it is the operations guide. These are basic questions to start with. So again, to start with, good morning, Jacobier. Are you with us here? Jacobier, can you
Yes,
hear
Professor.
us?
Yes, Professor. I'm here.
Good morning. So we're talking today about the idea of developing business strategy and your business plans. And so I understood some of the students in our class are interested in more details related to business plan. And since our class may not continue a lot, I'm giving a lot of information related to this. You can see this is for focusing on a business plan. Let's back up. To focus on a business plan, you need to have answers to 100 to 150 reasonable questions. Of course, what exactly your specialty product or service is, and remember the basics of your product have to be discussed before you get excited about very small details. Then talk about why some customer will use your product or service and not your competitors, because almost everybody will have some type of competitor. And then number 3, who specifically will use it, knowing that that person you think will use it has probably been using some other competitor product for the last 10 or 20 years. So why will they switch to you? And then how will you create a competitive advantage? How will you operate it? All of these things. And of course, you need to think about your finances. In your first year, what is your sales? And you should be realistic, thinking in your first year, you will have negative income. You will probably have not many sales at all, and you'll have a lot of expenses because you're starting and nobody knows about you at the beginning. So you will start in the minus, and slowly you will grow. You should think about those details. A lot of people forget that because you have some type of competitor, you can walk into the competitor and observe their business. You can basically copy their business plan. For example, I have started businesses here in Korea, and when I started it, I walked into another competitor. I sat down and I observed this is the type of staff they have. And I asked the staff, how did you find about this? How did you find out about this job? And they said they saw it through a Facebook advertisement. So I know I could advertise through Facebook and get that type of staff. Then I saw the supplier come to that company and provide the supplies. And so the supplier delivery man walked right in front of me. I gave him my card. He gave me his card. So we didn't need to talk. But after, I could phone that supplier and he could supply to me also. So I already knew how to get my products, how to get the supplies, and how to get my staff just by walking into a competitor. Surprisingly, I was lucky. The owner of the competition was happy to sit down and tell me everything about his business. He told me what was good about it and what were the problems I had to focus on to be successful. You would think that competitors don't want to share that because we're competing. But in the reality with me, the competitor told me everything, which was really, really good. So plan those things. Find out how the market will react and how you need to do your marketing. So those are some of the details. And then there's the SWOT analysis. Everybody knows you must think about many different strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The idea that internal analysis is strengths and weaknesses, external is the opportunities and threats. There's the PESTLE, which is almost the exact same thing. PESTLE is talking about the political and the economic aspects, the social aspects, technological aspects, the legal aspects, and the environmental aspects. What is that? What is PESTLE? What is SWOT? I talked about this morning that there's common sense. Although I'm supposed to be an expert with a PhD and I have read many textbooks and I can use crazy words that some people don't know, like PESTLE analysis, everybody knows who, what, where, when, why. It's common sense. So PESTLE is just another way to say who, what, where, when, and why. SWOT analysis is the exact same thing. It's who, what, where, when, and why. So you need to answer who, what, where, when, and why for anything reasonable about your business. So it's the common sense. It goes back to just answer 100 reasonable questions about your business. And is the political environment going to impact your business? That's something that you might need to consider. That should be one of your main questions. For example, here in Korea and in many, many countries, the government may give you support to start a new business. Do you understand why? Why would the Korean government give you money to start a new business?
Is it because Korea also gets advantage of people doing business in Korea?
Okay, but don't you think they get more advantage from Samsung or Hyundai?
I mean, it's not enough. There's a lot of fields of business.
Right, there's a lot of fields of business, but Samsung's huge. Samsung's in the news all the time. Samsung makes trillions of dollars. Why should I worry about some little person called Zandigar or Joe or Mary when Samsung is right next to me and he's dealing with $1 trillion? The reality is,
Samsung was also little Zarnigar one day, but it got big, so no one will know how I can become in the future.
Exactly. And another detail is the government is not representative of just a big guy. The government is a representative of the country and all people. Most people in the country of Korea do not work for Samsung. Samsung has 300 to more than 300,000 people working for them, but most of them are outside of Korea, maybe in India or China or America working for Samsung. But still, it's only 300,000, and there's more than 50 million people here that the government needs to give support, give housing, give protection to. And so the government knows the more people that start businesses, the more employment there will be, the more success there will be, the more jobs there will be, not just from Samsung.
Yeah,
So,
employment rate will also increase, and it will also give a lot of popularity, reputation to Korea as well.
right, exactly. So that's why governments know by creating more small businesses, that helps the economy more than giving support to a $1 trillion company. Helping small businesses start up gives more impact and benefit to a country, more employment, more people need less health insurance, more people can pay for their schooling and pay for their support and food. More people are able to avoid welfare, things like that. So yes, the government knows a small investment in helping somebody start a company is better than a small investment in a huge $1 trillion company. And so the government of Korea, just for one example, they pay me to teach people how to start businesses. They pay other real estate experts, lawyers experts, tax experts, immigration experts. They will pay to come and present details to teach new international business people how to start an international business here. Because that only takes maybe $800 from me and $800, you know, maybe a couple $1,000. And if you have a class of 50 people, maybe 10 or 25 people might start a business, and most businesses usually hire at least 3, if not 10 people. So just a few $1,000s to get 25 new organizations, each hiring, you know, 3 to 10 people. It's a very good trade-off. So the Korean government not only pays for people to come and teach you, but they will actually give you an office space with secretaries and support for the first 6 months or a year, because they know your first year might be the hardest and it's the biggest learning step. And even though the government in Korea gives a lot of support, so much so that, for example, Derek Kim, he is an advisor to the government in doing this. He knows the government for 50 years was just promoting the huge chaebol. In Korea, the government used to only promote Samsung and Hyundai and LG and SK, the big guys. But since they already got to the top and they can't hire anymore, the government has learned the only way for the country to keep growing is for the country to get more small businesses. So the government is actually giving away billions of dollars now to anybody that could help. That's why Derek Kim was able to give away $30,000 to each person to get training and support to grow new businesses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it actually makes sense.
And Korea actually does not provide as much support as some other countries. For example, in Malaysia, if you go and talk to the government, there's usually an office in the government to help you develop a new small business. Like in Seoul City Hall, it used to be called the Seoul Global Center. They have a huge floor of many staff just trying to help you start your new business, including paying for people to teach you stuff, including giving you office space, giving you secretaries. But in Malaysia, they give you more. For example, in Malaysia, if you walk in and say, here's my business plan, they will ask you, okay, what are your finances? How much do you need to invest to start your new business? Malaysian government will analyze that, and some people said they will pay up to 94% of your costs. The government will give you a loan to pay for that.
Wow.
So they will pay for almost all of your costs as long as you have that idea solidly written down. So we come back to the idea of who, what, where, when, why, or 100 reasonable questions and answers. You see the SWOT analysis and the PEST analysis, it's all basically the same thing. And that all could be just who, what, where, when, and why. Who are your competitors? Those could be threats or weaknesses. They could be technological threats or social threats, economic threats. The idea of what is your product? You'll be talking about, you know, the strength, the opportunity. Those things will talk about part of your product. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, since I can give you thousands of details, I just wanted to summarize the big main things. People will have gossip and feelings and emotions and tell you things based off of what they think and feel, but sometimes they're not based off of research. They're not based off of facts. So you must balance what is credible, what is not credible. And the Harvard Business Review is credible. And so they have done studies, and one of the guys that has done the best studies about new businesses developing and the father of competitive advantage, his name is Michael Porter. And he has a story in 2008 talking about there's 5 forces that influence business success and your competitive advantage. And so we can see that it's the threat of new entrants and the bargaining power of bargaining power of buyers and the bargaining power of suppliers and the threat of substitute products or services, and of course, other competitors. Those 5 things, those are the 5 strategic forces you must be thinking about. When you do your business plan, your who, what, where, when, why, think about all of these 5 things, because the research shows all aspects of your competitive advantage are influenced by these things. Doesn't matter what industry, in all industries. And then it also, his research goes through and it shows the profitability of selected US industries. So as you see here, the securities brokers and dealers, the investment brokers, the stock market brokers, the agents, 40% of their business is the profit. And if you check into the details, you will see again, those agents, almost 69, almost 70% of the time, anything that you listen to them say, they will say, buy something. But if you think of reality, when you're going to invest, some things are good, some things are bad. That's just a reality, right? 50% have to be good, 50% have to be bad in order to be the best. So why don't those security brokers or investment agents, why don't they show you that? 50% are good, 50% are bad. They show you 60% are usually more than good, because if they convince you it's good, they get a sale and they get profit. If they're talking about the negative, they don't get benefit from that. So remember the idea of the threats. It depends on those details. What is the threat amongst competitors, the barriers to entry? Anybody could be a stockbroker or investment advisor. Anybody could be a real estate agent or a teacher. Anybody could, but it doesn't mean they're really good, doesn't mean they're really qualified. However, if you want to provide insurance or medical care or a hospital, that is very different. You need a lot of money to make a hospital and hire many doctors and lawyers and go through the Ministry of Health and Safety. So the barrier for entry to be a hospital or medical care is super high. It's hard to get in. But a barrier to entry to be a teacher, the barrier to entry to be an investment agent or real estate agent is very low. So that's what we're talking about here. Any questions about how there are 5 main forces that impact your competitive advantage?
No, I actually also learned most of things about business back at college. So, but I have another idea how to make money more easy way, but it's risky. Um, what do you think about investing money on big businesses, like buying percentages of the company? Um, so for example, let's take a Samsung Galaxy, and if it's like open company for shares of their percentages, like you start from very small amount and then you get monthly money and then you make it bigger and bigger and you end up like with bigger percentage and gives you more money, and then you can do it with other companies as well at the same time. It's like easy money and it's big money as well.
Okay, so Jacob here, you can still hear us clearly, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I just heard she said it's big money and it's easy money. What did you hear about
Risky.
what? Well, the last couple of words I heard was big money and sort of easy money. So what did you hear, Jacob here? I heard something.
I think
She was saying something.
she I think she wanted to say to invest in stock market like that, but I think she didn't know about stock market, but the way she says, I think like that.
So
No,
you
it's not
hear.
stock market.
She wants to buy. I think she wants to buy the big companies. Like, how can I say? I think she wants to be
Shares.
one of the shareholder.
Yes.
Okay. So my point right now is, when anybody is saying something, there's a very good chance the listener hears something different. So when you say something related to your business plan, obviously you are excited. Obviously, you have been thinking about it for a long time. Obviously, you are probably thinking about very advanced details because you're a specialist or an expert. Your mind will be probably thinking about those expert details. But what the person listening hears could be really easily misunderstood. So whenever you're promoting a business or whenever you're talking to a customer or whenever you're talking to an investor, you have to be very careful about that big picture. What doesn't matter what's in your mind. The only thing that matters is what is going into the mind of the listener. So, Zanigar, you were talking about something in your mind, and then I summarized one aspect that I heard, and Jacobir summarized one aspect of he heard. Now let's go back to you. Were we correct? Did we hear you correctly? Or do you think part of what we understood was not your real intention?
You guys understood me in the right way, but you both missed the when I mentioned it's risky like 3 times.
Okay. So
Yeah, but the others were correct.
so regardless of any business you want to invest in or any business you want to create or any activity you want to do, you must always think about what does that other person care about? What does that other person focus on? What is that other person going to want to hear? And then you must match that. No matter what you say, you should be checking they are observing or hearing the main things they want to hear. Does that make sense? But for an example, you guys have probably all heard of some of the biggest consultants in the world. A consultant is just an agent, right? An agent
Yeah.
that goes in, helps somebody develop something. Like a real estate agent helps somebody develop real estate. A stockbroker, investment agent helps you develop your stock. A insurance, there's many different agents. Well, a consultant is also an agent of development. There are rules and protocols for how consultants work. A lot of people don't think about them. And this is what they are. So when you go to help somebody, successful consultants will introduce very attractive generalizations about the consultant that should be impressing and making the listener excited, period. He is usually not giving solutions when he introduces himself. Then, after the consultant introduces general aspects that are attractive about them to the customer, then the consultant asks the customer, since I have many abilities and I can help with many things, you tell me, what do you think is your problem and what do you think is your solution so far? Understand?
Yeah.
So the consultant
Yes.
actually gets their main sales details from the customer. He asks the customer, what do you want to focus on and what do you think is the solution? So most consultants, they will go and just say, I have many abilities and I can do many things. So you tell me, what do you want me to start talking about? And so the customer tells them. And so the consultant then takes those details and says, okay, I will review details, make a very specific plan, and then come back and give you our answer later after you give us lots of money. But what the reality is, the consultant is just taking those questions, taking those possible answers, and just making them bigger, finding support for those a lot of the time. Understand? So it doesn't really matter what's in your mind. It matters what's in the customer's mind. A lot of people, even if they believe something is true when it is not true, even if the truth is a lie, they want to hear somebody supporting what they feel. So you should be aware of that aspect too. So one of the biggest forces for your success is not only these 5 forces of competitive advantage, like we go through and it shows this diagram that I've already talked about. This is the research report from Harvard Business Review. You can read it if you want. I can go through and give you these details. But the biggest thing is, again, at the beginning, set up, describe yourself. Understand, you know much more than the customer. You know much more than the investor. So what you know is not important. The only thing that's important is what the customer is going to hear or know or value from what you say. The only thing that an investor wants to know is different than what the business owner wants. Sometimes the investor only wants to hear, I'm going to give you a little bit of money and you need to give me a lot of money back. That makes sense, right? But there are people, for example, like Derek Kim, he's already wealthy. He doesn't really need a lot more profit. What some of these people want is just to help other people be successful. So he wants to hear somebody is really committed to it and really feels it's going to help people and they love helping these other people. And so as long as he hears you're going to help many other people, he will help you be successful. And it's not focused on money. So even the investors can be different. Some investors are billionaires and they just want to share their wealth. You guys know of Jeff Bezos. He is focused on making money. He's focused on getting Amazon successful or Blue Origin successful, right? But at the same time, another one of the world's richest person is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Do you guys know about her?
No.
Mackenzie Bezos divorced Jeff Bezos recently, and she has almost half of these hundreds of millions of dollars. She has about $50 billion, and she's not focused on promoting Amazon anymore. She just has $50 billion and wants to help the world. So her focus is just giving the money away. She wants to find good people to just give money away. She doesn't really care if it's profitable because she doesn't need more money. She wants to get rid of it. Understand? So they're both investors, but they're very different investors. Some investors, many investors want profit, but I just gave you examples of people that don't want that. So you must think, what is the needs and wants of the person listening? Even though you have 150 reasonable questions and answers, the only ones that are important are what is in the mind of your listener, your target. What do they want to hear? And then there's lots of details talking about this. You can, how can you do the sales? How can you promote the sales? And then life planning. Make sure that your business aligns with you. Find out who you are. We've gone through this before. I think some of you, Jacob here, were you talking about this the other day? Have you guys gone through and done some of this? Make a mind map of yourself?
No, I didn't. Not yet.
I did.
Okay. Can you describe what are some of the biggest characteristics of your mind map, Zarnigar?
I am very creative but lazy at the same time. And if I'm very focused on one thing, I can do it in the best way possible. But my biggest problem is me being lazy. And I overthink a lot.
Okay. So when you're writing things down here, you should be writing down the characteristics that not just describe you. Do you want to, you should be writing down characteristics that are ideal about you. Do you want to promote your laziness? Do you want to grow your laziness?
No.
Okay, so I think everybody, not everybody, but most people in the world, yeah, they like to relax. But that's what this is talking about. Your mind map is what your mind is trying to think about to develop your best you. And the second aspect of it is related to your work, related to developments. So everybody wants to relax. Everybody sort of wants to be lazy sometimes. That's different. What you should focus on are, as you said, what was it? Helping people or being very creative, coming up with many solutions.
Yeah.
What are a few more things like that?
I am very focused on things that are really like makes me like that are really interest me. For example, learning how to dance and singing the songs, especially. You know, I forget people's name, but I never forget the lyrics of the song. Sometimes it sucks, but I don't know. That's usually how I am. Um, I'm very friendly and open-minded to any ideas. So, which means I am open to what's coming new, like open to changes, and I'm a traveler.
Okay.
So yeah,
How would your parent or your teacher from last year describe you?
lazy.
If they were going to describe you to a newspaper talking about you as a student, what are your abilities? Again, we're
They
focused on your
they,
ability.
they would say if she bites, she takes it off. I usually get what I want. That's been one of my ability for a long time,
So
and
you
I
mean
am good.
aggressive? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, what if I plan a goal, I achieve it, and I won't stop until I do it. That's what I
Okay.
mean.
Okay, that
Um,
that is very clear. Um,
yeah, and
Jacob,
I am.
I'm going to ask you soon, after we listen to her describe her abilities, I'm going to ask Jacob here to repeat what are maybe two of them that he hears. So go ahead, keep describing yourself, and then we are going to
I
try to repeat what is valuable or what we hear that you say. Go ahead, Zarnigar,
Um,
you continue saying what a teacher sees are your abilities.
they would probably say that I am a fast learner. I catch up with the classes really easy if the classes are interesting. Um, and I guess I'm easily interested in class, um, if it interests me, of course. So most things are comes to the field that if it interests me or not. So if it's not interesting, that I am very lazy and I won't do it. But if it's interesting, then I do it in the best way possible. And teachers would say I am a good speaker. I usually can convince people of what I am speaking, and they usually believe in my opinions. That's one of my characteristics, and teachers usually say that. And they say I am fun to talk to, and they also say I am easygoing person,
Okay,
which I highly
so
believe.
Jacob here, what did you hear? What are some of the things that you think should be on the mind map of Zarnigar?
well, I think she said first, when she started, she said she is kind of lazy and overthink, and then she also mentioned about her positive abilities like good speech. She has good speech, and also she also achiever, like if she wants to achieve something, she will achieve it, like that. I my recommendation for her is to make habits, good habits, and if she repeats again and again and again, and it turns that habits will turn out for character. Like she should remember good days and compare bad days, like that.
Okay, so each person, when you're talking, you need to think about what you want, but at the same time, you need to invest in what other people hear you say. And so, yes, this is one practice about it. Let's switch this around. Before I show you, we're almost out of time for the class, but before I show you this other presentation, let's switch. Now, Jacovir, how about you describe what would a teacher or friends or family of you say are your abilities that make you different and unique than some other student? What are some things that you are going to be able to develop? What are your capabilities? And then Zarnagar will try to repeat what she thinks describe you. So start describing yourself, Jacovir.
I think the people who surround me will describe me better. But I think I'm also overthinker, and I like my abilities. I have a notion that if someone can achieve something, then I can also achieve that. I will always follow that. What else? I'm also good listener. The list maybe go on, but I think for now that's so.
Okay, so what did you hear are the characteristics of him, Zarnagar?
So he's overthinker like me. And what I didn't like about his characteristic is that if everyone is, he mentioned that if everyone's achieving, he can achieve too, and he follows their lead. But I really like the point where he mentioned that he's a good listener. That's the three things I remembered of him. I guess
Right.
he pointed out.
You just ended with talking about he's a good listener. Yes, and so you have that. Jacobir, did you realize
Yeah.
what the listener is hearing? Like what Zarnagar just repeated about you, is that what you wanted to promote? Is that what you tried to say?
Yeah, it's kind of true. Yes.
So you are a good listener and you follow everybody else. Is that what Zarnagar was just saying?
No. The second one, I think she misunderstood. I
That's
mean
my point. That is my point. It doesn't matter
yeah.
really what she said. It matters that your intention could be 1, 2, 3,
Different.
and she heard
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. That is my point. Many people forget that the listener hears different things.
Yeah.
So be
So
very
on the
careful.
second, yeah.
Go ahead.
On the second
On the
point,
second one, he mentioned that like if everyone is doing it, he can do it too. Like it's kind of getting motivation from other people. But I'm very different from that. Like I get motivation for myself. People really like motivational quotes and things like that, and it like I'm like gross. Do motivation to yourself. Like you're a human and you have mind to think. I mean, it's him. Everyone is different, but I am motivation maker for myself. I'm a person for myself. I make life for myself. So that's like what I cannot agree. But I mean, that's a good way. If people are achieving, he can achieve too. That's like one way of taking motivation from others. I just don't do that.
So what I'm hearing, I'm hearing from two different people, and I'm hearing two different thinking styles or two different personality and characteristics. We can say good things and bad things about anything. I am pretty good at seeing many different views of one thing at the same time. So, for example, with Zarnigar, you are saying you can do things easily, and if you're interested, you can catch up in class and do it very easily all on your own. And you seem to like these challenges to learn new things. You don't like just following people blindly. Is that accurate? Okay.
Yes.
Now, I think what Jacobir was saying is almost the exact same thing. I think what he was saying is no matter what anybody else is doing, he could do it too. So
Yes,
I think what he was saying is the exact same thing as Zarnigar, but just using different words. Zarnigar was saying anything that the teacher gives the class, she could do it, but she only does it if she thinks it's interesting. So nothing is impossible in Zarnigar's world or her mind. And Jacobir is basically saying the exact same thing. He could be focused on something else, but no matter what the teacher gives the class, he could do it. If the class starts doing it, he could do it easily. So it's the exact same thing you guys are describing, just using different words. Now, do you guys see what you might have heard very different things, or you might think he was saying different things, but the intention could be very different. So practice saying something and checking what the other person hears. If you're going to promote yourself, like Zarnigar, you were promoting a cat, but the very first thing you were saying is the cat is bad. So
He was
realize that negative aspect. Realize if you want to be successful, like if you want to get into politics, you can't promote bad things about you. Not unless it is a strategy to make you look better. So, for example, if you want to be a politician or if you want to be a business owner, you will have people want to know about your problems. So what could be a problem you could talk about? For example, Zarnigar this morning was trying to promote a cat, but she said the cat is dangerous and bites. Basically, customers run away immediately. So that is not something you should talk about. If Zarnigar wants to be a politician, what could be something that could be described as a negative, but at the same time, it makes you look good? Same thing as a business owner. When you describe your problem to an investor, what could be a problem that an investor likes? One example is I am addicted to developing this business, or I'm addicted to work. I'm a workaholic. Many of my friends like to go party on the weekend, and they get angry at me because I keep talking about work. And so I work nonstop, and it may help hurt my family. Those, they are negative, but if you're a politician that's a workaholic, that's good. And if the investor hears the business investor is a workaholic, that could be a problem for their family, but that's good for an investor. Understand? So start thinking more about what you're trying to say and what the person will hear, what they want to hear, and what you want them to hear and what you don't want them to hear. That message that is being given. Think about those things more. You understand?
I guess I have one character that is negative, but people might actually like it. Which is I care about a lot of things, like global problems concern me. A lot of political things occurring really, let's say, takes my, like, makes me overthink about them, and I mostly forget to focus on my life. So you know what I mean? I usually care more about world problems rather than my own life problems. Does that even make sense? But I do it a lot.
Professor.
Yes, go ahead. Vikavir?
Yeah. You said when we speak, we have to be careful our words, right?
Absolutely.
Because like she said that when she talked about my second behavior, that I can achieve that one thing if another person that achieve it, like she she talked like that. She compared me to like a teenager. Like if you like, I think she thought when he watch a motivational videos, and then he will inspire.
No, no, no,
That is
no. I
kind of
didn't mean that. No, I didn't
that's
even.
kind of teenage and not grown.
I
People.
actually didn't even mean anything about you.
No,
the
no.
I
exercise,
just made an example.
I I may I think she may not wanted to say that, but I hear like that. So next time
right,
we have to
that
be careful
My
when we
mom
that
still
choose.
does
is the
that.
lesson for the class. Right, that is the lesson for the class. Make sure you understand,
Uh,
regardless of your ability, regardless of what is in your mind, my name is Sean Watts. My biggest problem is Sean Watts's brain. My biggest problem is myself, because I've been reading so much and I know so many crazy details, I forget nobody else cares about those details. So maybe I talk too much. Um, and so you must realize who you are, number one, and who that target person is, either a customer or a staff or an investor or a voter for a politician. Realize that other person is different than you, and there's a very high chance when you communicate, they're going to hear a different message than you intend. So in your planning, self-planning, your life planning, remember that. Remember what are the things you want to promote and what are the things that you think people might hear that hurt you. For example, Zarnagar, you were saying that you care more about AIDS and coronavirus and world hunger and climate change than the fact that maybe you have some disease and are slowly dying, but that, I can take care of my health later. I want to help world peace first. Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying to say? So
Yep.
you need to focus on, sometimes, even though you're saying that same message, an investor doesn't want to give money if they think that person is going to die. Like during the US elections, which are on CNN and everybody saw, some of the, like Bernie Sanders and old people, they don't win the election because people think their health is not good enough.
Yeah,
So
true.
if you don't take care of yourself and you tell people you don't care about yourself or don't take care of yourself, even though you're trying to say something good, that could convince them that you're bad. So practice giving your introduction a lot and record it and try to listen back to it and check what is something that could be misunderstood. And then practice giving your introduction to other people. Basically, practice having a job interview all the time. And do it with your friends. Do it when you're drunk. Do it on like a Friday night when we're having our whiskey or soju or beer, whatever, and just check what these other people hear. For example, as you can see on the screen, one of the last things I will do, but I will still stay and talk to you as long as you guys want. Here is an example of an introduction I give. But before I tell you this introduction, I must tell you what is the intention. The intention is the government has paid me to meet 50 different people that want to start companies. I am teaching them one aspect. So I'm introducing myself to people that want to grow a business. Okay? So the words I'm using doesn't matter what is in my heart, doesn't matter what's in my mind. I need to be thinking about what are my abilities that are only related to the listener. So this is a 30-second summary that I've created, I don't know, 10 years ago, but it still proves true today. And so if you read these words, I kind of indirectly say bad things without saying anything bad. I do talk too much, but as a consultant, that's a good thing. I'm going to give more information. And anyway, if we go through it, I challenge you to find a problem in the next 30 seconds with me, okay?
Okay.
So I'm Dr. S.D. Watts. You can contact me at gmail.com, a management professor, serial entrepreneur, advisor, and consultant, helping businesses develop in the Americas and Asia for over 20 years in each area. I develop offices, partnerships, factories, pretty much everything. I can be hired outright, but I suggest partnering for mutual benefit. Clients pay base expenses and get rapid development goals. Expenses may be shared and reduced, often at costs you cannot get on your own. I have been doing this so long, I have staff in various countries and working with airlines, so their travel is at 90% discounts, so I only pay 10% of the fees. If you work with me, win-win basis. I provide more than asked for and look forward to developing long, strong relationships of mutual benefit. Again, contact me at drsdwatts@gmail.com, period. That's almost exactly 30 seconds. Jake Avir, what did you just hear? Forget, that sentence, but what did you hear?
Actually, I was gonna ask when you talk about the competitive advantage when running business, except SWOT and pest analysis, you said having a consultation is important, right? But the thing, the text you are showing, you are a kind of consultant company, and you are a consultant, right? This is what I heard. Understand?
Good. So you heard I'm a consultant. The reality is I'm a business professor.
Yeah.
How do I make most of my money? I make most of my money not as a professor or not as a consultant. I make most of my money through real estate. They're completely different things. But when I say things, because when I do this introduction, I'm saying it to entrepreneurs that want to learn how to start a company, everything that's describing me is just related to their interests. I do say I'm a professor, but I'm not focused on that. I focus on being a consultant because that's what they want.
I didn't want to say that. The thing, I understand the you want to help people that for those you wanted to help for those who want to invest or run business.
Okay.
This is what I understand.
What about you, Zarnigar? What did you hear related to that?
What caught my attention is the serial entrepreneur part, and where you get 90% off for your flights and you pay only 10%. It's really interesting. And you also said you can do partnering for mutual benefits, so it's going to be a win-win situation.
Okay, good. What are some negatives? What could you argue? Let's say you are a consultant and you want to make me look bad. What could you hear that is a negative about me?
Could you?
Isn't it in this statement where you say expenses may be shared and reduced, often at costs you can't get on your own? I'm kind of feeling it's this inside here.
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but this is a different slide. When we're talking about costs, everybody has probably heard a little bit about accounting, but do you guys understand that costs can always be changed, right? Anybody can always change their expenses and costs. The only thing you can't really change is your revenue. How much you have sold, that fact stays a fact. But when you get your revenue, you have to minus your expenses and then you come up with profit, right?
Yep.
But if you just follow the simple accounting of sales minus your expenses, you come out with profit. If you tell that to the government and it's big, you lose money, you have to pay tax. That's a fact, right?
Yep.
But the common sense that people don't think about is if you have profit, you could say, I'm still going to work for 2 more hours and take some of my company money and buy supplies for next year. Buying more supplies for next year will mean I have no profit. So I pay no profit. I pay no tax. So a company can keep growing simply by their message, how they communicate. Understand?
Yeah.
So when people say accounting is straightforward, that's crazy. Accounting is just an idea. Yes, you're supposed to talk about your revenue and your expenses, and it's your income minus expenses equals your net income. But you can always change your expenses. If you have a profit, you take that money and invest it back in the company, hire more staff, hire more supplies, buy more items. And so that is one of the things that people don't think about, and I want them to think about expenses. And by showing you this slide, it gets you to start thinking about different things as a business owner. And now if I come back to me being a consultant, helping international people expand internationally, one of the things is flying to another country. Almost 99% of the world thinks, oh my God, that's very hard. It's very expensive to fly to some other place, right?
Yeah.
But if my staff are part-time staff working for me and part-time work for airlines, they can get their airline ticket for only 10%. They can fly to Toronto, Canada for like $100 or sometimes $50, $25, versus other people have to pay many thousands of dollars. So I can go to these other countries to help get information for them, for my clients, almost for free. That's kind of what we're talking about. The other thing that I was talking about is many times, do you see what this is on the slide? This is the Seoul City Hall. This is the government. Almost every country's government has people trying to help businesses grow. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Any country. And so if you understand, an embassy is a marketing and sales office for the country. Anything the country tries to sell, like a product or service from Uzbekistan, the Uzbekistan embassy should be trying to market and sell it because it helps Uzbekistan, right? So the embassy, like the Canadian embassy, I'm from Canada, more than 90% of all the time the embassy is open, 90% is only for promoting Canadian companies or promoting Canada getting money from other countries. For tourist information and travel, most people think that is what an embassy is for. That's only open at 1 or 2 hours the whole week. So that idea is something that you should be aware of. Let me get back to this. So why am I talking about it?
Oh,
If you
we got one
understand,
more.
yes,
student
if
here.
you understand, you have a product or service you're trying to sell, that should be a fact. And now you also understand the big picture. What is the environment around you? If you want to do business in any big city, your country has a sales office and marketing office in every big city in the world, right? In every major country capital city, you will have your embassy. And that embassy is in charge. Their job is to promote you, do marketing for you. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So all you need to do sales, most customers are thinking, I need to fly to Singapore, or I need to fly to South Africa to promote my business. And the flight, the plane ticket is so expensive. Number one, I could talk about how I can get people traveling a lot cheaper price, 90% discount. But the truth is, you don't have to travel. You already have staff in the embassies in every major city in the world. All you need to do is take your company product, give it to the embassy staff, and it's their job to promote it. The Canadian embassy, their job, if I tell them I have a Canadian product or service, they have to tell me who are the best potential customers, who are the best potential partners, who are the competitors. They have to give me that. It's their job. If they don't, I can talk to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in my country and get them fired. So you have salespeople promoting you all around the world. So my point is, think of the big picture. Think of not just what's in your mind, but think of what other people in your environment are thinking of and doing. Not just the message they hear, but realize how you can leverage people around you. Do you understand the idea of how an embassy works for you? Can you repeat that to me, Zarnigar?
Yeah,
Let's
of
say
course.
you want to sell cat food created in Uzbekistan. Why do you care about the embassy?
I present them my product, and they have to promote it for me, and they should also give me information about who I am going to deal with, like same product sellers, and which investors can also invest on my business as well.
Good. Can you see this PPT slide that I'm showing now?
Yes. Oh, wait.
So this is what the Korean, this is what the Canadian government embassy does. This is what the United States American embassy does. The Korean embassy is famous because Korea went from super poor in the 1960s. They were one of the poorest countries in the world. And then in like 30, 40 years, they became one of the richest countries in the world. So the Korean embassy is the same thing, but they actually spun off this business development part. So the Korean embassy now also works with an organization called KOTRA that does the same thing. Almost all embassies do this. You can go through the embassy and set up a system so they will promote you. And you can list a dozen different countries. If you look closely, you can see that I can have embassy staff in Italy or in China or Brazil, Australia, or Mexico. I can pick what country I want to go to and identify the staff, the embassy diplomat, Miss Amanda Forces. She is Canadian, but she is basically my staff in Italy. And so her job is to give me a list of potential buyers and partners, a list of agents, manufacturers, representatives, a list of all those different details, consultants, government officials that will help me, freight forwarders, lawyers, tech sources, financial institutions if I need loans in Italy. So all of the, oops, let me go back to this. The Canadian exporters can access all of these services for free. And all you need to do is send an email to Amanda saying, this is my cat food that I'm trying to promote. And it's her job to find buyers. Understand?
Yeah.
And so if we go back a little bit more, this is the old style of business that most people think of before they realize the big environment, the big picture. The old way is an executive from Toronto, Canada, has to fly to Singapore to go to a conference and meet customers and then fly back to Canada. That makes sense, right?
Professor?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can we continue this the other time? I have another class to attend to right now.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Ask me questions anytime. Our class is finished, so I can meet you at any time you guys want to plan these details. So whenever you guys get people together, I will come and help answer your questions.
Yeah, we are still working on getting the class back. So,
or even if you don't have enough for a class, if you have several people that want to continue talking about this, you tell me the time and place and I'll meet you guys and help.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
See you next class.
Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you so
guys.
much, Professor.
Take care. Bye.
Inside our group, I see that we also